But what is our reality? What is our day-to-day reality? Dear friends, you know, if we are honest, we have to recognize that yes, we are touched by the Spirit. We certainly have been awakened by the Spirit. That's what unites us as seeker of the truth and seekers of ourselves and seekers of fundamental answers to the fundamental questions of life. But at the same time, we have to recognize that most of the time we are immersed in a very different state of consciousness. It's the egocentric state of consciousness. We are mesmerized. We are dominated by the illusion of ego. We could have, countless talks about what the ego is and what the ego is not. But just to illustrate what we are trying to convey today to you, imagine the following. Imagine the desert and somebody walking on the dunes of that desert. The sun is the spirit. The dunes represent life. The person walking represents the consciousness. And the shadow that is projected on the dunes is the ego. So there is an order in life because, nature and evolution, went through a lot of trouble to manifest our consciousness. So it's not that things should not exist. The real problem is that they are out of place. So if you imagine that the sun is the spirit, the person that walks on the desert is the consciousness, and the shadow is the ego, the great ones of the spirit, they walked towards the sun, towards the light. They were absolutely connected to it. They were all the time illuminated by it. And as they walked in that direction with the coherence of speaking, teaching, and doing in truth, goodness, and justice, their shadow, in other words, their visible manifestation, was at the service of that life, of that state of consciousness. But what we were saying is that for the vast majority, while we are still touched by the fire of the spiritual sun, as if it was burning us from inside, as an impulse to find answers. What truly happens is that we walk absolutely enamored by our own shadow in the desert, by our egocentric consciousness. And for the vast majority of the human beings today, if you ask them to define themselves, they will start to define themselves through the contours of their shadow that moves in the desert. So we ask, who are you? And they will say, this is what I think, or this is what I feel, and these are my normal reactions to life. But these are just projections. These are just the visible aspects of their shadow. And what is really sad is that they chase their own shadow in the desert, a shadow that has no substance. And in many, many cases, what they do is that they use the creative powers of the triangle of their consciousness, head, heart, and hands, at the service of their ego.